Hi everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. We are so excited today. We are joined by a very special guest, Stacy, who you guys might recognize her voice from a past episode that we did about her dance journey. And today, she's going to be helping us answer your questions about adult ballet intensives. About a week ago, we went on social media and asked you guys what your questions are about the experience of going to an adult intensive. And you guys sent in your questions. And so today, we're going to go ahead and jump right in and start answering some of them. I've been to the Kathryn Morgan intensive. Stacy has been to Amy Novinski and Ducon and is going to be doing the Martha Graham intensive this summer. And so we kind of have different experiences with different intensives. All of them have been great experiences. They're just different. And each of them kind of has a different, almost like a different personality, I would say. There's just different methods of ballet. Some of them are, taught by teachers that maybe are more Vaganova. Some are taught by teachers that are Balanchine. So you're going to get different styles. And then they also just have kind of a different emphasis as far as the amount of social activities they might have versus the amount of dancing, if there's a performance at the end or not. So all of them great intensives, but different. So Stacy and I are going to be kind of offering our different insights from taking these intensives. So Yelena, do you want to take it away?
Hello. So yes, I'm really excited about this topic because there's so many options and many of the adult dancers might not know them, or they might actually know, but they are a little bit intimidated of what are they actually about? What do we get out of this intensive? So hello, Stacy.
Hello to my Ballet for All family. I'm so excited to be here again with you and very honored that you would have me as a guest for your listeners on this topic, which I'm also really passionate about. Excited to get to it.
So let's start with one of the first questions that we got from the social media, which is how strenuous are summer intensives? Are the schedules physically taxing? So that's one of the questions that they ask.
You want me to go ahead, Hannah?
Yeah.
So again, all of the intensives are quite different and they're very unique in their approach, from scheduling to the length of the classes during the day, the breaks that you have. It's very different, and even the number of days in the intensive. I'll talk about Ducon first because I think it's probably one of the most widely known, huge intensive, and people come really from all over the world for it. And it's an amazing intensive. Pretty much arrive at the school at 8:30 in the morning. Classes begin at 9. So always try to get there a half hour early, just find your way. And then you dance until lunchtime, with maybe 10 minutes in between, 15 minutes in between the classes. So you take a technique class, which will run anywhere from an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. And then you take a break, and then you'll have a pointe class. And that would be an hour typically. And then you have lunch. And then in the afternoon, we would have a repertoire class or a variation class, and then rehearsal for the performance that will occur. So from as far as being strenuous, a schedule like that, Monday through Friday, I would consider as an adult dancer to be fairly strenuous. It's jam-packed, it's full, and you're always moving from class to class, and you're there every day. So I do think there's a level of rigor in the intensive programs, but certainly if you have a limitation or you feel like you need to step out, I will tell you, you get so motivated when you're there that you'll find yourself working through things that you might not otherwise work through if you were dancing either in your home or in perhaps your routine class. So Amy Novinski's intensive was similar. The day was a little shorter, so that's a nice intensive if you're looking for a little bit of a shorter day. We would end our day at 2 p.m. and you would have a technique class in the morning. We would have lunch, And then we would have a point class and then variations. And then there is a performance at the end of the week. But the day is about 2 hours shorter than Ducon. Orlando Ballet was an all-day schedule, jam-packed, very few breaks, and mixed with ballet, jazz, modern, Afro-Brazilian. It had everything in it. So their intensive was a little bit more expansive as far as styles. So I think you have to be prepared to dance, a full day, days in a row, but you certainly can take breaks as needed.
Yeah, I think the Kathryn Morgan intensive, it sounds like, has kind of a similar structure to the ones that you've been to, Stacy, where we had technique class, point class. During the point classes, there was always an option if you wanted to do pre-point instead of point. And then there was also time where we would work on a variation. And then usually there was a seminar or a Q&A at the end of the day. And then in the evening, there was some kind of social activity. The ones I went to were based in Huntington Beach. So like one of the nights was a beach trip. One of the nights was like a shopping trip. One of them was a movie night. So you also have that social component with the Kathryn Morgan Intensive that I personally really enjoyed. I thought it was a really good balance because the day is very tiring. So I thought it was nice to have something in the evenings almost to kind of unwind. But going back to the question of how strenuous it is, like Stacy said, it really does depend on the intensive. And I would also say it really depends on how much you're currently dancing. Because that's really going to dictate how strenuous you feel like the week is. Like the first year that I went to the Kathryn Morgan Intensive, I was kind of just still kind of on-ramping towards doing ballet more seriously. And that first year was physically a lot harder for me. And then last summer, I had been dancing quite a bit more in that 1 year in between. And I felt like it was a lot less strenuous in a way. I mean, it was still very hard, but I felt like my body held up better because I had been doing more dancing in the year leading up to the second one. I think that kind of a tip, I guess I would say, for people that are considering going to a summer intensive is trying to get into good shape before you go, because I think you'll get more out of it the better shape you're in, because you won't have to sit out as much. I mean, and if you want to sit out, that's totally fine. But I also know at the intensives that I went to, I talked to people that expressed frustration of like, oh man, I wish I could do more. Like, I wish I could stay in class, but I need to go sit down. It wasn't like they wanted to go sit down. It was like they had to. And so I think if you can kind of be preparing your body in advance of the intensive, it'll give you an opportunity to really get the most out of it. I think increasing the frequency and intensity of your classes in the few months leading up to an intensive, and then definitely giving yourself like a rest week beforehand because you want to go in rested. But I think if you start ramping up your class load a little bit in the months leading up to it, you'll feel a little more prepared for the intensity of whatever intensive you end up at. Because any intensive really is probably going to be more than what we're usually doing in our day-to-day. Preparing your body is a really good way to make sure that you're able to do as much as you can throughout the week, and then also not get injured, because I saw that too happen a couple of times at intensives where people came in that, were maybe doing like one class a week, and then they went to a week-long intensive where it was like 4 or 5 hours of dancing a day, and I saw people get injured. So I think that that's just kind of one of the realities of just preparing yourself so that way you don't get injured.
I have one more question, and I think that is kind of been answered already, but does everyone have to participate in every activity, or is it okay to sit out if you are fatigued?
Absolutely. I mean, you can sit out. No one wants you to be so tired to the point where you can't perform or you do get injured.
Yeah, it was the same for the intensives that I've been to, where you can definitely sit out if you are just needing to take a break. We would joke, actually, the intensives I went to, that it's like, because it's a group of adults, almost everyone in the room has some sort of ailment. It's like my ankle, my knee, my lower back. So really all of the teachers would preface their classes with, do what you need to do, don't do what you can't do. And there was no judgment. There was no weirdness about it.
Yes. I don't even know if I could go into a whole intensive at this point in life. Like I remember I just moved. I just moved to Australia and I was just teaching the group classes, wasn't going to teach in person. As soon as I started teaching in person, my feet hurt, my neck was killing me, my lower back, and I'm like, and I'm not even dancing. Can you imagine if I'm dancing to the level I was again? So another question from the social media is, are there different levels the intensives?
So Ducon is interesting because they have 2 weeks of adult intensive and they sort of assign you a level after the first class. However, when you purchase the intensive, you get a class pack with it to help prepare you before you go to the intensive. They kind of have an idea of what your level is. So they do split you up into, it occurs at the same week. So occurred at the same time. So the same 2 blocks of weeks, but you go in separate rooms. And the choreography and the level of the class will be a little bit more advanced. And the choreography or the performance will be a little more advanced as well. And I thought that it was appropriate. I felt that the level that I was placed in, I was in the more beginner level, which was still even not beginner, for that intensive. But it was very appropriate. The choreography for the end of week performance was appropriate. I was with people who were at my same level. And I really appreciated the diligence in that because it helps so that you don't get frustrated. Sometimes we all think we can do a little more than we can, and maybe we can. However, we don't want to spend the week being frustrated because we're so far challenged that we can't keep up. And I found the same at Orlando Ballet. They also did a ballet class, technique class, and they placed everyone accordingly. And then they split us up from there. The choreography for the performance was tailored. Although we all did the performance together, there were certain parts that were dedicated to the advanced students and the beginner students. Amy Novinski splits hers up. She does a week for the beginner and a week for the advanced beginner.
Yeah, the Kathryn Morgan Intensive, it sounds more similar to Ducon and Orlando Ballet in that there are multiple levels and they're happening in the same week, just in different rooms. The way that that intensive does placement is a little bit different because you place yourself, you pick your own level. I think what she's doing now, from what I've heard, I'm not going this summer, unfortunately, but I have friends that are going this summer, and what they're doing now is that she recorded 3 separate videos of a bar and a center for beginner, intermediate, advanced, and sent them to everyone who was interested in coming. And you could take the classes and see where you felt like you could keep up, essentially, because it's hard to self-assess, like you said, Stacy. Like, it can be really hard to just like pick a level. And I think, one thing I've noticed just in ballet in the community in general is what is beginner even at like one studio is totally different from what's beginner at another studio. And so it's hard to know where to place yourself. So I think it's cool that the intensives are either placing you once you get there or sending you tools to help you know where you're going to fall for their intensive specifically. One thing I want to jump back to that you said, Stacy, that I felt was a really good call out is how you said even like the beginner level wasn't really beginner. I would say that I think probably across the board just for intensives. I know a lot of intensives will say that it's good to have at minimum a year's worth of training before you spend the money and the time to do an intensive, because beginner at an intensive isn't usually going to mean that they're teaching you what first position is, what second position is, what, you know what I mean? They're operating off of a foundation of, basic ballet terminology, and you can, pretty much get through a basic bar and a basic center. So I think that that's good to know also, because if you were to show up thinking, beginner really meant beginner, it doesn't really for intensives.
Now, there are 2 other questions, and the next question is regarding the pointe classes. Do you have to be on point to attend an intensive? Would that be a requirement?
No, absolutely not. It's there available to you if you want to avail yourself of the opportunity. And as we all know, it's really a luxury as adult ballerinas to take an in-person pointe class. It's just a luxury. It's not out there as much as we would like to see it. And so you'll probably want to try if you're already on pointe, but if you're not and you have not done pointe, you absolutely can take those classes in ballet slippers. And there are many people who do it. And there are many people who start the class on pointe and they end up in slippers before it's over. So you'll see so many different levels, and absolutely not, pointe is not a requirement.
And I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but in case I didn't, I know at least for the Kathryn Morgan Intensive, they actually, regardless of which level you choose, whether you're doing the beginner, intermediate, advanced, pointe is almost separate because they understand that there are some people who are, intermediate dancers, but don't want to do pointe just because of past injuries, or they just don't want to do it. Or there's people that are beginner dancers, but are on pointe. And so they have both options happening at the same time slot as pointe class. So in the same time frame, you can either pick to go to pointe class or you can pick to go take a pre-pointe class. But you do have an option. It's completely optional. And there's quite a few people that come to the intensive that are on pointe.
Perfect. So that answers that. And I think that kind of to finish the episode. Are people nice? Is it easy to make friends if you go alone? What was your experience regarding the atmosphere, like the social part of the intensive?
I loved it. I made friends that have changed my life. I made friends that I keep in touch with all along the way. People are so kind. It's such a beautiful atmosphere to be in the company of people who are like-minded as you are. And everyone is willing to share. Mm-hmm. And if you stay in a hotel with the same people, you get to know them that way. And then we didn't have structured activities as in, Hannah spoke about that with the Kathryn Morgan Intensive, but we did our own. So I found it was an experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting people, and everyone was very kind and non-competitive. And it was a place where you could feel valued as an adult ballerina. You could learn, you could grow, you could make mistakes, you could express you were tired and express your joy when you got that one thing that you've been trying to work on all year. So, and everyone would be right there with you. So,
yeah, my experience was very much the same. I felt like it was actually a really almost like a healing experience from some of like the childhood negative stuff of just catty girls and not making friends in class and feeling like it was competitive and a little bit ick. It was just so the opposite at the adult intensive. It's truly a beautiful thing to see people of all ages, all body types, all different backgrounds, just enjoying ballet together. It's funny too, because one of the years that I went, my husband did videography for the event. And like my husband was moved by the intensive. I mean, he was like literally, he was like, this is beautiful to see all of these people, these women supporting each other. And, we had people at the intensive that are in, I think one of the years there was someone that was like maybe almost in their 70s, and then we had people that have only been dancing for a year or two and people that had maybe danced pre-professionally. Like it's just such a wide spectrum. It's beautiful. It's inspiring. Like I left feeling so inspired. And just I'm convinced, I think the adult ballet community is some of the nicest people on the planet, honestly. Like that's just consistently been my experience both years of intensives and even in the studio now as an adult. But yeah, it was same for me as what Stacy said. Like there's people that I'm still in touch with. One of my friends that I met at the first intensive, we met early on in the week, became good friends. We made sure that the following summer we planned to go to the intensive the same week so that we would be there together and see each other. We take classes together online. She's in Italy. And we've stayed in touch for now 2 years. And it's really special. So I think don't shy away from going or be intimidated to go to one because you don't know anybody, because you might show up not knowing anybody, but you'll leave with a ton of friends.
I think is most of us come from maybe your experience in the childhood when you were learning ballet as a child. The adult ballet community, it isn't at all the typical ballet stereotype world that we know. It isn't. It's just totally different. You are not expected to, yes, sir, like what we have to do in the ballet classes when I was raised doing ballet. We couldn't even go to toilet. So that was totally out of the question. So you can go to the toilet, you can ask. People are competitive, but within themselves, like pushing yourself forward.
Yeah, and it's really cool because I think Stacy would probably agree. Everyone that is there really cares and is really trying hard. Like, it's not that people are just kind of like, whatever, it's casual. Like, these are people that are really committed to training and being the best that they can be, but not at the expense of kindness and being friendly to the person next to you. It's like, why can't we have both? I think that's what I never understood as a kid. Yes, we train hard and we take it seriously, but we also have fun and are kind to each other. And that's what I love about the adult ballet community is I think it's both of those things.
It was awesome. I hope everyone learned a little bit out of this one. If anyone decides to go, please let us know. We would love to know where you're going and when, and share all your experiences with us. So happy to see you again, Stacy, and having the podcast again.
I love seeing you both, and you're always my ballet family, and just wonderful to catch up and share. So always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're excited. Next week, we're going to come back with another episode in a similar vein, still talking about adult intensives, but we are going to talk specifically about what to bring and what to pack. We got that question on social media, and in preparing for it, realized that it's probably its own episode. So next week, we'll be talking about what to pack and what to bring with you. So hope you guys tune in then. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.